Hello, Adam.
Good day, sir.
How are you doing?
I'm really good. I'm really good.
Today is it's supposed to be 67 degrees.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is the day we've been waiting for.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I've been waiting for a long time. It's like reminds me of LA.
Explorers, you got to understand. Nick moved here in January. Here being Des Moines, Iowa, which is sometimes known as the coldest place on earth. I think it was at one point that it was colder here than it was in the Antarctic during this winter.
That is
and
true.
I know that one day it was negative 50 degrees below zero, and in LA it was like 65 or something same day. So it was a 115 degree difference from where you came from.
Yeah.
So
my friends were taking pictures of the beach and palm trees. Wish you were here.
Yeah.
I was like, I do too.
But it's good. This is what you've been waiting for.
Yeah.
You said that it can only get better, and now it has.
It has.
Yeah.
Word creates your world.
That's right.
Experience.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
So today we are talking about tracking expenses.
Mm-hmm.
Tracking expenses, and this is personally a favorite topic of mine.
Why?
Because when I really look at the conversation of building wealth, there's always an art and science to things.
Okay.
And I have it that for the art to really flourish and to be celebrated, the science needs to be handled. And tracking expenses really is the nitty-gritty science behind having a life that you really want to live.
Yeah.
And if I really look at, the conversations I've had with clients who have had certain breakdowns around their finances, the number one thing that really makes a difference and is the most eye-opening thing is when they start to track their expenses. And I'm talking about people who generate millions and millions of dollars on a yearly basis.
Right.
Even I'm having them track their expenses, and at first they're like, Nick, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah, I am very serious.
Yeah.
And by the end of 1 week, so much opens up.
Right.
Just in terms of how, them not even being present or realizing how much money goes out. So one of the things that I say, because as you're listening or watching, I can already hear you saying, oh gosh, that sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, do I have to?
This conversation, it's supposed to cause friction.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be, out of the ordinary. It's supposed to be something that you're not used to doing.
Right.
So,
have you ever heard the saying that the difference between millionaires and billionaires is billionaires know where every nickel goes?
I have not, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me if you went into like Mark Cuban's world. He probably knows where, he's like totally in tune with his expenses.
Sure.
Would be my guess.
Yeah. That's awesome. So, and I mean, we talked about it yesterday on the check-in, and not to say that this is happening with the person you were talking about, but from someone who might be complacent and have millions of dollars,
right?
To take it to the next level, what could be missing is that on top of finance conversation.
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's get into the nitty-gritty of how do you track expenses?
Yeah.
Because I think there's probably a digital way and an analog way.
Yeah.
So you go digital and I'll go analog.
Perfect. So there's a couple of resources that I'm going to say it with a caveat because I actually don't necessarily recommend it, at least in the beginning. There are a lot of different budgeting apps and tracking apps like Mint, Every Dollar, YNAB, QuickBooks, a lot of, the digital ways.
Yep.
However, what that does not do is it does not cause friction. Because most people will just say, oh, I track using this. But when they say track, they mean at the end of the month I look at it.
Yeah, I checked it once this month.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, it's through Excel, and literally that's looking at all the different expenses. So anytime money leaves your hand, whether that's through Venmo, cash, credit card, debit card, and auto pay, is really looking at what day it was, how much it was, what it was for, what the expense was for, and where you got it. So for example, I spent $70 at Nike.com for running shoes yesterday. That's just an example. That's not. But I actually need to.
Okay.
I actually need to.
I do too.
Really
We should go shopping.
Okay, sounds good. But I have people really whip out their phone and actually type it in because it causes friction.
Yeah.
So
they type it in on their phone in like a Google sheet, but they'll type all that in.
Yeah, Google Sheet. So directly on the court, I have the Google Excel or the Google Drive app on my phone.
Yep.
So anytime I'm literally waiting in line at Chipotle and I'm ordering, yes, double chicken, no avocado. Like I have my app pulled up so that way by the time they tell me how much it is, I just type it in my Excel.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. And you're looking at this, daily?
Check
it on at the end of the day?
If actually, it's multiple times a day.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's every single time money leaves. every
Yeah.
single time money leaves. I have it as an open tab on my computer if I'm, making purchases at home. Like yesterday, I was purchasing flights.
Yes.
So it's always a two-step verification, two-step process for me.
Yeah.
Anytime I spend money, I also log it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that friction for you is part of the, like, you want a guttural reaction to, like, oh God, I've spent $400
Yep.
in the last 2 days.
Yep.
That kind of
And
thing.
yeah, and on the flip side too, I think there was like 2 days ago, I actually spent no money. Because I always put the dates.
Yeah.
And normally there's at least one expense per day.
Yep.
And so the dates would go from 26 to 27 to 28, but there was a gap. And so for me, I also play games and challenges to have no spend days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my more analog way of tracking this, I like the idea of the digital and putting it in a phone. Of course, I think people today who are used to using their phone would probably jump right on board. If that's a little bit too much for you, one of the things I recommend that's a super easy process is go grab a 79-cent spiral bound notebook that fits in your back pocket and carry it around with you every day for a month and write down every single expense that you do. And the same thing, you could have every day 30 days of pages, right, in the notebook. So every day you're writing something down, and the goal would be you have blank pages or skip dates, right? So you don't have 30 pages of expenses.
Yeah.
You have maybe 24 because you've had some no-spend days.
Yep.
But I find that people actually writing it down or having to write it down will often make them change their mind. And I did this with a group at a bank. There were a bunch of bank employees. They were all given these notebooks. And I said, I'll be back next month to teach the next element of the class, but I want you to track your spending on a daily basis all month long.
Nice.
So when I got back into the bank and I said, did everyone bring their notebooks? They all pulled them out. They're all worn and tattered because they'd had them in their back pocket or their purse. And as they flipped them open, I said, what did you notice? And what surprised you? And one of the women said, I noticed that when I would stop into a convenience store to get a soda at the end of the day, but I knew that I'd have to write it down, I would think twice about stopping, and then I would just pull out and go home.
That's awesome.
I said, what surprised you? And she said, it surprised me how many days we had multiple transactions. So like, on one day there might be 5 or 6 things they spent money on, and they don't even think about it because you stop in to buy gas, but then you also donate to a kid's soccer fundraiser, and you bought something for the kids at school, and you had to pay a bill that day.
Yep.
And by the end of the day, you're like, God, I spent $400 today.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the analog way.
That's awesome. And I can just, one quote unquote challenge that I find with clients who are tracking it on Excel or on their phone is that they'll forget to do it. Right. And I don't have an expectation that my clients track every single expense. I let them know that, hey, look, this is part of building a new habit. You probably will forget, but as soon as you remember, do it. If you have a physical notebook, then I would assume that it's less, you're less inclined to forget because it's like, what's this thing in my back pocket, or it's this extra thing I need to carry. And so it's on your mind in a way that's different from, just your phone.
Totally.
Yeah, that's cool.
Totally. So here's our challenge for you. Track your expenses for the next 30 days. Do it either Nick's way on the phone, doing it digitally on a Google Drive or a Google Sheets document or an Excel, or do it the old-fashioned way with paper and pen by getting a little 79-cent spiral-bound notebook. You can get it at a grocery store or convenience store, and throw that thing in your back pocket. And if you are with someone in your life, a significant other, who is a spending partner of sorts, make them do the exact same thing so that you're both tracking it. Because what you'll find is that your partner may be stopping at a Quick Trip or a convenience store on a fairly regular basis, spending more money than you think they might be. So for them to become aware of that might be very helpful to your family's finances as well. Tomorrow, what's up?
Tomorrow we're talking about how to pay off student loans. Yeah. It's a big conversation.
That is a big conversation.
Yeah, big conversation.
I have not had them in a very long time.
That's good.
But we're going to talk about how to do it.
Yeah.
So
I know people your age and even older who still have student
I do
loans.
too.
So this is
yeah, this is
we're gonna
big.
tackle it.
So join us tomorrow. We'll talk about how to pay off student loans. Until then, go track your expenses.
See ya.
Peace out.